You see thousands of mourners chanting "No to War" as Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was buried in Moscow today. Navalny died earlier this month in an Arctic penal colony. His supporters accused Putin of murdering him. The Kremlin has denied any involvement in his death, claiming he died of natural causes. Joining us now is William Taylor, former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine and the vice president of U.S. Institute of Peace. Ambassador, welcome to the show. We saw thousands of people chanting there, many of them saying, "We're not scared to be out here. We are not afraid of Putin's regime," as they are supporting his biggest critic. What risk are all those supporters that we saw putting themselves in?
Well, they are brave to go out there and be photographed. There were a lot of those police undercover who were taking pictures of all those people, and they know it, and yet they came out anyway. Some of the Russian people who clearly supported Navalny strongly opposed the war. Not very many. We haven't seen very many of these kind of demonstrations, so this is a very interesting one.
You know, there are so many reports that there are a lot of supporters of Putin in Russia. Of course, it's state media, so that's what we're getting around the world. But you've been there, sir. This is something you cover. Is that true? Is there still a lot of support for the current leader in Russia?
There is, Hannah. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. It's very strong support among the Russian people. And the reason is they don't hear anything else. They're only told one thing over and over and over by the Kremlin's mouthpieces and the media. There's very little free media. There's very little other organizations that they can get information from. So they just hear this over and over. And sadly, most Russians support Putin.
That insight is so valuable, sir. Thank you. Putin has seemed to threaten nuclear war. That is, if NATO helps Ukraine. Let's listen to that. I'll talk to you on the other side.
We also have weapons. They know about this. As I just said, we also have a weapon that can hit targets on their territory. And they should understand that what they are doing now, trying to scare the whole world, it does risk a conflict with nuclear weapons, which means the destruction of civilization. Don't they understand this?
What do you make of this? How concerned should we be?
Not very, Hannah. He said this many times before without any indication that there's any change in their posture. The nuclear threat has been out there, and they've tried to scare us into backing off support from Ukraine, and it hasn't worked. We continue to support Ukraine, and I'm hoping the House of Representatives will pass this bill because we're not intimidated by these bluffs from the Russians about the nuclear use.
Can you tell us more about Russians that are living under Putin's control? Because, again, we pretty much see what state TV puts out.
We do. That's all we see. And sadly, that's all the Russians see. So even though those Russian people may have qualms about what they know about the Ukraine war, and they probably don't know very much about what their government, the Russian government, is actually doing in Ukraine, the massacres of civilians and the attacks on civilian infrastructure, the Russians don't get that story. So the Russians just hear what the Kremlin wants them to hear, and they think that they can support Putin in his war against Ukraine.
William Taylor, Ambassador, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.